All right, so let's talk a little bit about just kind of some common errors that we often see with squats. So usually, I'll do it from here. We don't have a microphone. So usually what we'll see with errors is people going out on their toes and using their knees too much. Those usually go hand in hand. We see the butt wink, like I mentioned just real quickly on that last video. We'll also just kind of see just knees shifting in all sorts of weird places. Usually, these problems will have several factors that coincide with each other. So you want to make sure that you're attacking your mobility from a very general standpoint, making sure that you're not just focusing on one specific area, but you want to make sure that you're warming up and lengthening and strengthening your hips and legs as a whole, because it works as a whole system, right? If you just do hamstring curls for the rest of your life and quad extensions, you're going to have weird imbalances that we don't want to have. So anyway, most of these errors are going to work together a little bit, so I'm going to show you kind of what they look like separately. But first error I'm going to show you facing this way. Usually, this will usually happen with people that say squats hurt their knees, and so they'll avoid squats as much as possible, but really just bad squats hurt knees. So knees first on that squat, where the knees are beginning the movement, right? You see my center of balance is sitting out here. That's no good. Right? Now I've got my knees as the primary holder of my body weight. That's a big thumbs down. It's no good. Right? So we want to start that movement through the hips. So I call this the grocery store butt bump. Act like you're holding a bag of groceries and you got to shut a car door and push your hips backwards. Get that nice old butt bump. Right? So the hips want to start, not the knees. So the hips start backwards and I sit into this squat. So now my center of balance is sitting right down through my torso. Right, so my center of balance is going right here between my feet, okay? And I'm able to sit in this position, all sorts of arm movements going on. I can rock back and forth because I'm in control of that body weight. Whereas if I start with my knees with that common error, usually getting into a really poor position, and this isn't very comfortable. That's not a very good spot to be in. We want our hips to take that weight because there are so many big muscles that are connecting to our hips that we want that to be the load that we're carrying there, right? We don't want our knees to take the load of our body weight because the knees are a horrible joint. They're tiny, tiny little bone, a whole bunch of big muscles going through it. It's stupid, it's bad design. So, bring it up to the big guy. So fixing that knee error is usually just a matter of seeing it and having it recognized. That's not usually a big problem to fix. A great thing to do with that is using like a squat rack. Use something to take a little bit of that body weight so that you can feel more comfortable sitting back onto it. Or using something like a bench, a small box, like a step platform that you can sit to that helps you kind of learn that trust. Often with people that are just kind of getting into squatting from the very beginning, their body doesn't necessarily trust their balance as they sit backwards into that position. So we want to focus on learning the balance act, because the squat is a balancing act. We want to make sure that we're comfortable with that position first and foremost, right? So always be comfortable with what you're doing. Now, kind of brings us into the idea of where our weight is balanced. We want our weight to be balanced on the arch and the heel of the foot. Our toes are made for balance, right? Which I realize now is kind of counterintuitive because I said balance in two different ways. So think about it this way. When we're walking and standing, our toes are reacting to every shift in weight, whereas our arch and heel are taking the majority of that weight. So that's where we want our squat to be sitting. Okay, so I'll show you again. Pay attention to what the toes are doing here. We see toes up, we see toes on the floor. Now, as I come down to the squat, I can wiggle my toes because they're not actually taking any of my body weight. But what we want to avoid is any unnecessary contraction of the front shin muscles, the anterior tibialis. We don't want to overload that muscle because now we're just putting tension into a bad spot. So not thinking about lifting the toes, which is something that I was taught as a high schooler. It always felt really weird. It feels imbalanced. We're squatting here. Now I'm creating tension through these muscles here, which is not going to help me as I try to balance backwards and having to counteract that big time. And that's not going to be very helpful in the long run. So making sure that you find that healthy balance of using your arch, like the spring of the body. It's there to absorb weight and push off against it, using your arch and your heel to really take that body weight and balance it out throughout the whole thing. Another common error is knees diving in, like a baby giraffe squat, I like to call it. So when people are squatting and we're seeing knees buckling in here, usually we'll go hand in hand with the knees being first. That's no bueno, right? We want the knees to be pushing out so we can use the glutes to get our squat moving, okay? So I like to take people with a resistance band around the knees and just practice pushing out through those knees, turning on that gluteus medius, that little muscle in the middle of the glutes, okay? So finding that position, avoiding knees diving in, thinking knees out, finding that hip flexion all the way down into the bottom of our squat, okay? Those are two very big errors of the squat. I could talk about this for another 45 minutes, but I won't bore you. We'll keep it short and sweet and simple here. Again, any questions, something that I didn't cover that you want to have covered, put it in the comments below. If this helped you out, give it a little thumb up, and we'll keep making some more of these. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.